Hello. It is December 22nd, Sunday. So we're well inside the Christmas season, which means it is busy everywhere and it's hot as shit, as Australians would say, hot as shit, and it's expensive. Money's going out, money's not coming in. And so yeah, this time of year, everything's kind of winding down and speeding up at the same time. People trying to finish things before Christmas. Lots of businesses close, and so it's kind of a strange time of year. I've always had mixed feelings about the Christmas period because in New Zealand, it might be different in your country. In New Zealand, the country really shuts down for about 2 weeks around the Christmas New Year, from about depending where Christmas falls. This year it falls on a Wednesday, so lots of companies shut down just this last Friday, the 20th. That was their last day, and they won't go in for the next 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, and so it's hard to sometimes get things done because about half places are closed. Not shops, retail's obviously going because that's their busiest time of year. But then after Christmas, everything's really shut down, and like I said, things start coming back to life around the kind of the second week of January. But even then, some places don't come back until kind of the end of January, start of February. So it's quite a it's always been quite a strange time because every job I've had has always worked through the break. Actually, yeah, anyway, I haven't really been buying many CDs recently. I haven't really bought any CDs recently. For the last, I probably haven't bought a CD for about a month, which is not that unusual. I do go through periods of not buying anything, although not really recently, as in like in the last year I've kind of been quite consistent. But there were periods over the last few years where I would, a month or two would pass. And the main reason is because I've been quite busy. Also, been a lot of expenses recently. Had to buy a new car. My wife's car had a problem. We had to get a new alternator and battery, which wasn't cheap. My son had to go to an orthodontist. And I'm sure it's the same in every country. When you hear the word orthodontist, you know that's going to be expensive. He's still pretty young, but he's going to need braces when he gets to his early teens. But even now, the dentist referred to us to go because he had some issue around his baby teeth coming out too quickly and not leaving enough space for when the adult teeth are coming out. So that's going to cause some issues, some expensive issues. But that's life, isn't it? Can't expect to go through life not having things come up. And really, that's quite minor. Not financially minor, but how should we say, emotionally minor. It's something that can be fixed and is not really that important in the great scheme of things. Anyway, this is a CD I bought, I would guess 3 to 4 years ago. You can see it was $1, $1, and it's Amy Grant. Amy Grant, the T is hidden there behind the sticker. The album is Heart in Motion, which from memory was released in about 91. Can we find the year? Can't really read that. 91, look at that. I'm pretty good at picking these years sometimes, don't you think? I have distinct memory of the single, at least the big single from this album, which was Baby, Baby, da, 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 which you still hear nowadays. I follow on Instagram a page called Dead Malls. It's actually an American page, and this guy documents dead or dying malls around America, the US. And we have a kind of a similar phenomenon in New Zealand of dying malls, although I'd say our malls we have much fewer of them, and so some of them are still quite busy. but there are the odd dying dead mall, and it's always a little bit eerie and weird going to these places that are completely empty. There are still some shops operating, maybe half the shops are closed. Anyway, the guy on the Instagram page, the background music he used was that Baby Baby song, and I thought it fit perfectly. And then within a day or two, I was in my local mall, which is about 5 minutes walk from my house. And that mall actually is not dying. It's actually quite a healthy mall. And especially I was just there today. It's 22nd of December. It's absolutely packed. There's Santa's in there, and there's some Christmas dancers doing some performance that seem like thousands of people crowd around trying to watch. But anyway, getting all mixed up in my brain here. At the time, whenever that was, a couple of years ago, when I seen that post on Instagram, a few days later, I was in my mall and they were playing that Amy Grant song, Babe. It seems to be the perfect kind of song because it really does, when you hear that song, evokes the feeling of 1990, 1991, when kind of was the heyday of malls. When would you say it was the heyday? Because in my lifetime, because I don't want to speak about, but I say in New Zealand, the 50s and the 60s, where we still had main street shopping. You know, if you wanted to go shopping, you went into the center of the city, and the main street, which in our city is called Queen Street, was lined with shops, and they would have department stores, these big old grand department stores, and arcades of shops. And then I'd say the advent of the mall was probably around the mid-70s, and then that kind of supplanted the main street, although the main street kind of managed to survive, but in a different form. But I'd say that the high point of the mall was probably the early 90s, maybe up into the 2000s. But then with online shopping and I don't know what else is caused, I guess online shopping is the main thing. People still buy shit, but they're just kind of, where are they buying it? If it's not the main street, because the main streets are dead, the malls are dying, does everyone just go to big box places like in New Zealand we have the Warehouse or Kmart, or I guess in America you have Walmart, or I don't know what has is everyone just buying off Amazon now? We don't have Amazon in New Zealand. We do have Amazon, but it's not in New Zealand. If you're buying off Amazon, it's coming from Australia or America, so it's not really worth it. Anyway, I'm meant to be talking about the CD, aren't I? Not these kind of economic historical movements. What I didn't know about Amy Grant is that she is most famously known as a Christian artist, as in singing Christian songs, Christian pop songs. And she sold 30 million albums in her career. I had no idea. I just thought she was a run-of-the-mill kind of late 80s, early 90s female pop star. Because there were a few of them around at that time, weren't there? But I remember that song because I would have been about 9 or 10 when this was played on TV and stuff. It was a big hit here. And it wasn't as though I liked it at that time, but it was just kind of one of those background songs that was always there, and then it was played on the radio through the 90s, and like I said, you still hear it nowadays in places like supermarkets and malls, and probably on certain radio stations still. And so when I listen to it, I have very positive feelings about that song. I like it. It's quite cheesy and very dated, and the keyboard, there's something about that keyboard sound, the keyboard patch that they used in some of the pop music in that era of the early 90s, late 80s, that is really, a lot of artists use it. It was used in a lot of production, and so when you hear it, it instantly reminds you of that time, in good and bad ways. Amy. This album, New Music for Old Friends, New Songs for Fresh Memories. Okay, this is a whole bunch of rubbish. There's the track listing. There are the lyrics. Now, what you notice about her pictures, if we look at her picture, is this one, wearing sort of like a velvety velour dress. with Elaine Bennis here. Same dress there, it's quite short. We've got the cowboy boots. Same one here with the necklace prominent, and now she's wearing more of a I don't know, what do you call that? A sequined evening dress. And this one here, which is very classy, black and white. She's not showing a lot of skin. I guess that one she is, but she's not showing cleavage. It's because, yeah, she was a Christian artist previously. Now, I'm not sure if this album here was kind of like the album that she tried to, because there are other Christian artists, like, not that I know who any are now off the top of my head after I've just said that there are some others, but there are Christian artists I know who started out primarily as a Christian band, and all their songs were based on Christian themes and Jesus directly and whatnot. And then they attained a lot of fame or success in that field, and so they wanted to break into the mainstream, and so they made an album that didn't explicitly mention Jesus and whatnot in their lyrics. Like, I was going to say Creed, but Creed is probably not a good example. Who are the other? Under Oath, that kind of hardcore metalcore band. I think there was another hardcore metalcore band that was it Rise Against? Are they Christian? And there's another one just on the tip of my tongue. Oh, okay, doesn't matter. Anyway, they want to kind of break out of just being a Christian band and to be a more mainstream. And so I'm not sure if this album was the one that was that way for her, because she had been making albums since the late 70s. God, that's crazy. 77, 79, 80, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. A Christmas album with Art Garfunkel in 86, 88, and then Heart in Motion in 91. Now, I'm looking at my phone while I'm doing this to see. So it says, Heart in Motion is the 9th studio album by Christian singer-songwriter Amy Grant. Unlike Grant's previous albums, Heart in Motion contains pop songs mingled with Christian values, with the exception of High Set High and Ask Me. Well, then what's Baby Baby about? That's about God. The album features Grant's biggest worldwide hit, Baby Baby, and certified 5 times platinum in the US. Wow, selling over 5 million copies. So yes, I was kind of right. It was the first album that wasn't, it was more mingled. Well, what does that mean? Contain pop songs mingled with Christian values. What? Were the other ones not pop songs, or she was singing gospel? I want to look at the lyrics of Baby Baby, because they just said that was not included in the list of ones that weren't Christian. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Ask Me How Come. Is that it there? God's sake, where is it? Oh, it's over this side, of course. Baby Baby, this song is dedicated to Millie, whose 6-week-old face was my inspiration. Wow, that's her. It was for a new, so it's literally about the baby. Because usually we think baby, obviously, is a love interest, isn't it? Baby, baby, I'm taken with the notion to love you with the sweetest of devotion. Baby, baby, my tender love will flow from the bluest sky to the deepest ocean. Stop for a minute, baby, I'm so glad you're mine. The stars are shining for you, and just like me, I'm sure that they adore you. Go walking through the forest, the birds above us singing your chorus. Baby, you're so glad. Thou so glad you're mine. And ever since the day you put my heart in motion, baby, I realized that's no getting over you. So, okay, she says it's about her baby. What is her name? What was the name of the baby? Jenny? Millie, sorry. And now when you know it's about Millie, the baby, we think, okay, that's baby. I can understand all those things talking about a baby. In any kind of where I'm here for you, always and forever. No muscle man could sever. My love for you is true and will never. That's a kind of shitty line there. And ever always and forever, here for you, baby. If you didn't know that, you would absolutely think that's about her love interest. seeing as she's Christian, we would assume a man, her husband or boyfriend, but it's not. And would you think that's about Jesus? If someone said, well, she's a Christian artist and she didn't mention that's about her actual literal baby, I'm taken with the no. Would you call Jesus baby? That would be a bit disrespectful, wouldn't it? No, come on. Shouldn't say that, should I? You know, no, that you couldn't associate that with Jesus at all. You don't talk about tender love will flow and the stars are shining for you, because it's the other way around. We talk about the love of Jesus and God coming that direction to us, and obviously the goal is to love God likewise, but seeing as we're humans, we fail in such endeavor, and that is the kind of perpetual paradox of Jesus. What's that? Can you hear that? Some idiot revving the motorcycle up. Anyway, well, that's kind of interesting. I guess what are the other songs? Is there anything? Maybe she could have avoided. Would you say loving your child is an expressly Christian notion? No, that's ridiculous, isn't it? You like to dance and listen to the music. What's this good for me? I like to sing with the band. You like your hands splashing in the ocean, while I like my feet on the sand. When I start to sing the blues, you pull out my dancing shoes. I can't remember the list, because the reason why I'm showing this today is because because I've got a CD player in my car now. I kind of put CDs into the kind of, the holder thing, usually about 10, and kind of listen to them throughout the week as I'm driving to work. And I'll usually put one in there that I don't listen to or haven't listened to for a long time, just kind of to almost not force myself, but listen to something a bit different. And this week was Amy Grant. So as I was driving around, I was listening to it, and it was all quite in the vein of Baby Baby. If you've heard Baby Baby, you can probably imagine what the other 10 or so songs are like. That first song, They're Good For Me, I remember that line there at Mario Andretti. You like to drive like Mario Andretti. I like it taking my time. I thought that was, again, not the most poetic line, but, are lyrics really that important? But let me say, wherever you are going, it suits me just fine. So, again, could you say that's about God? Well, yes. You can take any song and say it's about God, really, can't you? It's such an abstract concept that it's not really that hard to associate anything. But I assume that her previous work was much more explicit, like mentioning the name of Jesus, praising him, and all that kind of stuff. I saw you walking by yourself, your eyes were crying out for help. Here we go, here, so I can see the word God here. Ask me if I think there's a God up in heaven. Where did he go in the middle of her shame? Ask me if I think there's a God up in heavens. I see no mercy, and no one's down here naming names. Well, this song is about a girlfriend of mine. If someone you love has been, okay, so that's a kind of a sexual abuse type thing. She's kind of like, this was another one. There was another, I guess they're stuck in my head because I keep saying these and remembering the song. And what's this? Galileo. In the year of 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. But when she sings it on the song, it sounds like she says 1392. The way she pronounces it, in the year of 1392. But she's saying 1492. Obviously, that is the year that Columbus landed in the Americas. Had he landed on India's shore, you might have never come to knock on my door. And I remember thinking, well, why? What's the deal there? Is there some reason why Columbus's discovery, and it's discovery in inverted commas, obviously, Columbus's discovery of the Americas had some sort of profound effect upon the person she's singing about? Because you would imagine that if it wasn't Columbus, it would have been someone else, and probably not that soon, not that much later after. Columbus was in 1492. At the same time, similar time, what Vasco da Gama was doing the route from Portugal around Africa to India. Magellan did the circumnavigation in the next century. Not that. My point is they probably would have got there, not that, and the movement of history. If it wasn't the Spanish, if it was the Portuguese or the English, or would things have really been that different? Probably not. Of course, they wouldn't have been exactly the same, but I don't think it would be that different about how things turned out. Because of the exposure of native populations to novel viruses, that was always going to happen, wasn't it? Whether it was a Spanish person bringing it or a Italian, a Dutchman. Anyway, so yeah, just God, it had 7 singles. This album had 7 singles, and it's kind of, as you listen through to it, a lot of it does sound familiar, even though Baby Baby is the overwhelming familiar song that everyone's heard. Songs like Hope Set High, Every Heartbeat, that song especially, Every Heartbeat, That's What Love Is For, sound very familiar, like I've heard that before. And like I said, it is all quite samey, sorry. It is all in the kind of theme of Baby Baby, with a little bit less. Baby Baby is quite bouncy and quite almost ultra poppy. It's like a catchy song, that song. It's a great song. Looking at the ratings, allmusic.com gave it a 4.5 out of 5 rating. I wouldn't agree with that. Chicago Tribune gave it 3 out of 4. Someone gave it a C, B+, 2.5 out of 5, 3 out of 5. I'd say for this kind of music, because it's like I've given 3 out of 5 to other albums. Like, I don't know, what's a 3 out of 5 album? The Red Hot Chili Peppers' One Hot Minute is a 3 out of 5 album. I like that album, but it's a 3 out of 5 album. But that's 3 out of 5 in the sphere of alternative rock, 90s alternative rock, which is kind of my thing, That is not to say that Amy Grant's Hard in Motion getting a 3 out of 5 is the same level of enjoyment for me as a One Hot Minute 3 out of 5. Do you know what I mean? This is in the realm of early 90s pop music. I'll give it a 3 out of 5 and for that type of music. Does that make sense? Everything's contextual, isn't it? You can't kind of give... Because if it was the case of just comparing all these things, obviously my favorite kind of music is that kind of music, hard rock, metal, and then kind of other things in the future, but it certainly isn't 90s female pop. But at the same time, I can appreciate it, but in a different way that isn't in the same world as that other kind of music. That's why it'd be very hard to be a music reviewer, because you'd have to have you'd have to be very open-minded for one, and it would just be hard to kind of judge these things. Well, I guess I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I had more to say about this, but I kind of don't. You can see it was $14.95 when this... Now, this was bought at Koorong Books, which I've never heard of. In New Zealand, I can tell you, we've never had a Koorong Books. I'm going to say that with authority, because I might be wrong, but I don't think in this era, especially in the 90s, there was nothing. And $14.95 would be very cheap in New Zealand. CDs in this age, this would have been, did it say anything we could, there's no other clues about when it was, but we would guess this was bought in the time when it came out. No one was buying Amy Grant albums 10 years later. That would be ridiculous. This was bought in about 1991, 92. And so at that time, CDs in New Zealand were $30 minimum. And so the fact that it says $14.95 would lead me to assume that Kurong Books is not anywhere in New Zealand. It's probably maybe Canadian or American. I'm just going to quick search Kurong. Hang on. You know what's coming up is Kurong Bibles. Was this from a Christian shop of some sort? Kurong, yeah, it sounds Australian. Okay, it was Kurong Discover Australia's largest range of Bibles and Christian books. Now, that changes things. Maybe it was bought later than 1991. Because you imagine Christian shops would have like a much smaller range of music, and it maybe they would have stuff from all eras, not just kind of new releases. So someone went into Kurong Books in Australia and bought this. That's a good price for an Australian CD, unless it was like in the 2000s, which probably would make more sense for that price. But yeah, funny, they're still selling it, even though it's not really a Christian album at all. Kurong Books, the Bible shop in Australia, is still selling it. They are dedicated to Amy Grant's career. Just to finish off, I can tell you that in our year 2024, she is currently 64 years old, which means she was 31 when this was released, which is relatively old for a kind of a singer-songwriter, female solo artist, attaining that kind of level of fame, like selling 5 million albums, because they're usually a little bit younger, but still, I guess not that old. And this is what it says under her personal life thing. Oh no, it wasn't meant to be that. I was going to read the other thing, which is public views and perception. Along with praise for her contributions to the contemporary Christian genre, Grant has also generated controversy within the Christian community. Bloody Christians. From complaints that she was too worldly and too sexy. Well, I don't know about that. To a barrage of condemnation following her divorce and remarriage. Uh-oh. But come on, she's not... What kind of Christian is she? Christians are allowed to divorce now, aren't they? Henry VIII sorted all that out. She's not Catholic, is she? By the way, I'm going to go with that. In an interview early in her career, Grant stated, "I have a healthy sense of right and wrong, but sometimes, for example, using foul exclamation point words among friends can be good for a laugh." Fuck. The article, which was based on that interview, was constructed in such a manner so as to make it appear as though Grant condoned premarital sex. Later, Grant reflected on how this article misrepresented her views, stating, "We probably talked for 2 hours about sexual purity. But when the interview finally came out, he worded it in such a way that I sounded like I condone premarital sex." Well, how do you word? I know that artists often talk about being taken out of context and all that kind of stuff, but you can't change the words that come out of someone's mouth, right? Sometimes artists use that as a kind of get out of jail free card. So I picked up that article and thought, you've made me say something I've never said, and you're totally disregarded 2 hours of Bible, put in one flippant comment that I made about a moan. Don't know what that's all about. Anyway, so we would assume that she had some sort of you can imagine being a Christian artist, you would always be annoying someone, wouldn't you? They're not the quite judgmental, aren't they? That kind of people who would buy Christian music. Oh yeah, not just Christians. Imagine being a Muslim musician. You have to really watch your step there, wouldn't you? You'd be, it also says that in June 2020, Grant had an open heart surgery to repair partial anomalous pulmonary venous return, a congenital heart condition. Anyway, we'll leave it there. That's half an hour of talking about Amy Grant. Who would have thought I would get half an hour out of Amy Grant? Anyway, have a listen. At least a baby. Classic song. Thank you for watching.